Hi, Ray Hayden here, and this video is going to be about what I would be doing if I was studying for the June 2015 first year law students examination. Knowing everything that I know, with what I know now from my personal experiences with the exam, this is what I would be doing if I had to go back to the June 2015 exam. I just want to share this with you, and I try to make it as quick as I can. This is my website, of course, Education, Training, and Experience, and this is the JD Pages set of it. And there's the JD menu here on the left. Right here, the second section is the pre-law information section. The first page is study law with 3 question marks here. It's purple with white lettering when I go over it. Just to the right of that, you'll see the 1L subjects at NWCU Law. Now there's torts, contracts, and criminal law. What I did with this page is I covered it in the free materials page is I set up free where you could find free information to study in these different subjects of torts, contracts, and criminal law. Now you should be catching at the bottom left of your screen here, right about where my arrow is moving in the bottom left, something's popping up over there. I'm going to go hit torts again, and it says Wikipedia. So this is on Wikipedia, so is contracts, and so is criminal law. Now I've already opened up the torts page, and when you click on these, they will actually open up in a new tab or a new window for you. And I already opened up the torts one. And the reason why I do it so that they'll open up in a new window is so that you don't lose my page, number one, because I like you to be on my page and do more research. But secondly is if you get lost. You can get lost in here. Let me show you this. This is a torts page. Over here on the right-hand side in this box on the right, going down the right side of the screen there, I'm highlighting all that information for you. These are the issues that we need to study, and this is free. This is free information. You don't have to go buy anything. It's right here. And you can use my one sheets and my definition sheets to go ahead and check to make sure that you're studying things in the right order. The things that are on my one sheets and definition sheets are the most important issues that we must be able to identify on the essay portion of the exam. Okay, I've said it time and time again. I'm going to keep repeating that. These are the most important issues on the first year law student examination essay portion of the exam. My materials are specifically attacking the essays so that we can do as good as we can on those. We also got to pick it up on the multiple choice questions. I'll get to that in a minute. You can use my materials because if there's here's something called Det New. Right here I'll highlight these 3. Those 3 are not covered on a first year law student examination. I've never seen them written up. All right. If you see it, by all means, write them up. I know what they mean. We're not going to discuss them right now because I've never seen them on the actual exam. If you see them and you know what they are, feel free to write them up. Okay, some extra points in your pocket. But back to my definitions, one sheets. These are the major issues. This is what they're going to be testing us on. Okay, and this is what we have to know cold. So keep that in mind. So here's free information that you can do. Now, by the way, on my definition sheets and everything, my final determination as to whether my definitions were valid was Black's Law Dictionary. This is the 10th edition. It's blue. My edition is a 9th edition, and it's a green book. I don't think the law's changed all that much in one edition, so I'm not going to go buy the new edition. But the fact of the matter is I use Black's Law Dictionary as the final say-so as to whether or not my definitions were good enough. Because if you look at Black's Law Dictionary and you go down and you look at my definitions, they're really not going to match up. Okay, but they're going to be close. Some of them might even actually be partially word for word out of there. But what I did is I took the definitions to be easy to memorize and easy to use. All right, so it might look like a lot of work up front. And by the way, let me say all this up front. All of this stuff that I'm going to talk about right now is going to go slow at first. It's going to drag like crazy. Okay, it's going to go really, really slow for you, but it's going to speed up very, very quickly. So if you start this process and you're working on this program and you give it a shot and you feel like it's dragging, you should feel really good about it because that's what you're supposed to feel like. It's supposed to be, oh my God, I'm never going to learn this stuff, and then all of a sudden you're going to know it. All right, so just trust me on that. Now, you can use, I'm going to jump back over here to the Wikipedia tort things. Now, I use the commercial summaries from Gilbert's. I own Nailing the Bar, I own Emmanuel's, and I own Gilbert's. I also own a set of Fold E's outlines. There are 20 pages per subject. Mine are 5 pages for torts, 5 pages for contracts, and 3 pages for criminal law. You're going to need something else to help you out. You can use the free Wikipedia thing, or you can buy yourself your favorite commercial outline. I prefer Gilbert's. We all learn in different ways. It's to be accepted. It's absolutely perfectly acceptable, and it's to be expected. If you like the Emmanuel's, by all means, read the Emmanuel's. The Emmanuel's has more than I need to get the job done. Nailing the Bar is an excellent resource. I really, really like them. I love Tim Taylor's work. Tim Tyler's work. I'm sorry. I really love the man's efforts, and I really enjoy his materials. But I need a little bit more. It's like I can almost get it, but not really. I need just a little bit something extra for doing it. So Tim Tyler's books and Wikipedia might just get the job done for me. All right. I also need to do some extra research on my own. I'll get back to that at some other point. But the Gilberts are, for me, what works best. The Gilberts and the Emmanuels each have a capsule summary in the front of the book. I don't even read that. I go right to the big part, the outline of the book, and it takes me 1 week to read each one of these. So it's torts, contracts, and criminal law. I know I got 3 weeks. All right. With the bits and pieces of time that I have, the piecemeal effort that I can put into it, it takes me 1 week to read it, and I can get the job done. I focus on the getting my eyes across every word, looking at every chart, graph, and additional information that they have in there. But I don't worry with the capsule summary up front, and I don't do the materials. They have some extra freebies in the back for you, multiple choice questions or true false answers in the back, and things like that. And I don't even bother with those. You can, and I've heard people have great things to say about it or not, but I didn't even spend my time with it. I just wanted to get the important information in my head and the supporting material around that. I wanted to get those two things in my head. And here's the Gilberts on contracts, and then here's the one for criminal law. But use whatever commercial outline that you like. All right. With that, I want to jump over to another thing for a second. We need to work on also work on the multiple choice questions. There are a set of rules. This is from the June 1980 first year law students examination. This up here, I'm highlighting at the top in the menu bar up here in the URL up here where my mouse is moving around. It says lawstudentsweb.net uploads /uploads/1980_FYLSX_MCQ.pdf. This is the URL that will get you to this exam. Now you're going to look here, and this is pretty much what the questions look like when you're looking at a book. All right, that's the way they look. So anyway, so just generally getting an idea real quick. There's nothing super duper hyper secretive about these questions because 1984 State Bar of California. The California Bar used to sell these. They were like $1.50, and they give you the answer sheet at the back. The very last pages are answer sheets, are the answer with the answer key to the questions. However, these for me are excellent source. They were the only resource I really had. I had another resource I'm going to get to in a second. I didn't even know I had it, and I didn't even know it was a resource, and I found it by accident. But I'm going to get to it in a second. This document here will help you understand the design and logic of the questions. Carl and Homer entered into a valid contract under Carl agreed to build a house. All right, I don't even care what it is. But the design, I'm pointing at the thing like you can see my hands. The design and logic of the questions can only be had by looking at, by the way, the answer to this one is C. I'm looking at it, and I already know the answer is C. Homer waived his right, and then he retracted the waiver, so he has to use a half-inch rods. So without even reading the question, so it's funny because I understand because I've memorized all these questions. Is why. But let me go over to another thing. These are the Siegel's books, right? This is a Siegel's on torts. This is a Siegel on contracts, and this is a Siegel on criminal law. All right. The Siegel's books are books that I had, and I didn't have them for the multiple choice questions. How ironic, right? I had them for the essays, and I was reading them. They were required originally by the school. They're not required anymore. Don't know why, because the multiple choice questions is where the gold is, right? The essays, we're supposed to read essays, model answers of essays, see what's going on with the essays, how to spot the issues and everything else, and we're supposed to do that all throughout the year. Use the old California Bar passing samples, use these essays, and study essays constantly. We were supposed to do that all the time because the school knows how important the essays are, and I know how important they are too, and I'm telling you, the multiple choice questions are what got me over the top. I needed to have a 73 in October 2014. I had never gotten higher than a 72. This time I got a 78, and there's two reasons why, and I'll give you back to the June 1980 exam. There are rules. I have these rules that you see right here on the page now. These rules are on my Right Now page. Scroll down, lower down on my Right Now page. I'm going to leave them there. These are the rules. You have to know them. Okay. The reason why is, especially look at number 4, in tort questions, unless the question specifically states otherwise, assume the jurisdiction has not adopted comparative negligence, no fault, or any guess statute. That one rule right there had me change 2 of my answers almost immediately in October 2014, and I will guarantee you those are 2 of the answers I got right. The reason is because of the rule. If I didn't pay attention to the rule, I absolutely answered the question one way. If I paid attention to the rule, I would change my answer. Because the rule, this instruction, just before we take the exam, and they go over them. But most people, like me, most of the time would just ignore the rules or forget about them or think, oh, I understand that, I get that. But you got to pay attention. This is changing what is either normal or what you would consider to be fair and just. Has not adopted comparative negligence. I'm sorry, most jurisdictions absolutely have one version or the other of comparative negligence, and there's 2, pure and partial. So you have to understand that, and it's going to make a difference. And some of the questions do tell you that they have a comparative, but other ones don't. They make no mention of it at all, and they will give you what the right answer would be if it was comparative negligence jurisdiction material. But it's not, because this instruction specifically tells you that it's not. So you have to know that, because it would change the answer. So between that and understanding the design and logic of the question, like in Siegel's covers, by the way, almost 100% of these June 1980 questions that we see here. Almost 100% of these questions are covered within the 3 Siegel's books. Okay, I've gone through them time and time again. Some of the questions evolved over time because maybe the law changed, or maybe they just didn't like using the names, or maybe the format of the question. It was like a proprietary question from the California Bar, but it didn't quite match up with what the MBE people are using. And the MBE folks a couple of years back changed the format of their questions. All right. And you need to know they made 5 changes, and I'm not going to go through those now. I went through them before, but I'm not going to cover them right now. You can look up what the 5 changes to the MBE questions were on your own time. And this is your own time, so hey. But point of being is that the California Bar has been evolving the first year law students examination multiple choice questions, which are not MBE questions. They're proprietary. They've been evolving them to be more like the MBE questions. And a couple of exams back, they asked a question which could not be answered because they were missing a piece of information from when they evolved the question. They forgot to bring over the piece of the information that you needed to actually answer the question. There was no right answer. So, and something like that, everybody gets the answer right, unless you either failed to answer it or answered 2 for the same. If you answered A and B, instead of just A. But if you answered A, B, C, or D, and you didn't answer 2, and you did have 1 answer, then you got that question right because it's just wrong. They know it's a bad question by the time they get it on the back end, and it is what it is. So, but the point being is you need to know the design and logic of the multiple choice questions. The Siegel's books will help you get there. I created a document that's 100 question document. I use as my answer sheet. I use scratch paper. It has a blank backside to it. I was going to throw the paper out or shred it anyway. Save a tree. Or you can just use it on. You can make a computer page. Just make 100, straight down, whatever, and just answer the questions right there on your computer screen. And with that, you can go ahead and go through and do your answers over and over and over again until you're scoring 100% out of the block. Now, when you start out with this, I want to touch on one thing. When you're reading the Siegel's questions, the first time through, just read the question, then go into the back of the book and look at the answer. All right, so each question, there's 100 questions in each book. Contracts has 99 questions, but the other 2 books have 100. So there's 299 questions here. Read the question, go to the back of the book, see why you got it right or see why you got it wrong, and understand why the right answer is right and why the wrong answers are wrong. And when you understand those, then you're starting to cook with gas. Then you start taking the tests. And then you go through and you answer all 100 questions, or 99 in contracts. And what you do on these is you will get faster. The first time through, the first couple of times through, you're gonna drag. And like I said in the beginning of this, you're gonna drag. And if you're dragging and you're feeling like you're moving real slow, then you know you're doing it right, because your speed is gonna rapidly increase, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna start memorizing these questions and answers. And you're doing them through the same order every time. I actually randomized them one time to test my ability on memorizing them, and it made no difference at all. I still got 100% correct. It didn't matter how I answered them, what order I answered them, or how I answered them. I still was getting 100% right because I memorized all the answers. But most importantly, as I said, I learned the design and the logic of the questions and the answers, and that's what got the job done. Lastly, I just want to retouch on this real quick. On my website, I have torts, contracts, and criminal law. These are on Wikipedia, and these are free. From Amazon, I used... Let me bounce over to my definition sheets here. My one sheets and definition sheets are proven up with Black's Law Dictionary. You can use any commercial outline that you want to use. Whichever one works best for you, that's the one to use. I use Gilbert's. The Siegels are the books. There are no other books that I can find, and believe you me, I've looked. I've looked everywhere in every way I possibly could to find any other book that could come close to the design and the logic of the multiple choice questions that we're going to see on a first year law student's examination, and I find nothing. The Siegels are the books to have, and painfully, I had them in my possession from day one because my school required them, but we were reading them for the essays, not for the multiple choice questions in the back, which ironically were the golden key that I needed to have to understand. The Siegels are, by the way, when I was studying for the June and the October 2014 first year law school exam, the only thing I was really studying was the Siegels, and I had memorized them cold to get the design and the logic. Finally, the June 1980 exam can give you the rules that you need to understand, because those rules change the way you would answer the question. All right, so with that, we'll talk to you in the next video. Take care and be well.